All right, today we're going to learn how to graph with point slope form and slope intercept form. Okay, so the first one we're going to learn is point slope, but I just want to kind of go back and let you know that, remember, we learned last time what standard form was, and standard form will always be when x and y are on the same side of the equation. Point slope form is where we have parentheses and we have our x and our y separate, but they also have an additional subtraction or adding sign with it. Biggest thing that we can notice to know it's in point slope form is that when there are parentheses present. All right, so this is point slope form, and we need to identify some variables. So m is your slope, and it will always be on the outside of the parentheses. Okay, and x1 and y1 are your point of this formula. Okay, it's a point given on that line. So that's exactly, it's very straightforward. So it gives you a point on the line and it gives you the slope. Okay, so let's practice. All right, so example 1, we have y plus 4 equals negative 5/2 times the difference of x and 3. All right, so if we remember, if we go back, so it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, our m is our slope. So that's this right here, okay, where it's in front of the parentheses. So our slope here is negative 5/2. Okay, our x1 and y1 are these numbers right here. But there is a kicker here, okay? All right, so in point slope form, notice how the original, like the standard equation of point slope form, has minus or subtraction signs or negative signs in front of the variable or in front of the coordinates. So because of that, we have to switch the sign of our point. Okay, so if it's a positive in the formula, then it's going to be actually negative on the coordinate plane. If it's negative, it's going to turn to a positive. Okay, so we're just going to list our point here. So remember, it needs to be an x1 comma y1. So our x1 is this one right here. So it's a 3 comma negative 4. Because our y1's right here. So just remember, when only in point slope formula, we have to switch the signs of ordered pair. Okay, so now let's graph it. So we have to plot the point. So your first step is to plot the point. So we have to plot 3, negative 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then we can use the slope to determine where we go next. So because our slope is negative 5/2, we fall 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. And then we run 2. Okay. If we wanted to go the opposite direction, I would start back at my original point, go up 5. And then go to the left 2. Okay, and now we create a line through those points. All right, I want you to try this next one. Okay, remember, it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Remember to switch signs of the ordered pair. Alrighty. And I want you to graph it. Check with the copy of notes. All right, the next one is our most favorite one. It's the slope-intercept form. Okay, this is when it gives you the slope and it gives you the y-intercept. Okay, so our slope will always be m, and it will always be multiplying to x. Okay, your y-intercept is your b. It's always going to be adding or subtracting. So this point is where whatever that number is, it's on the y-axis at that number. It's your starting point. All right. So, like I said, so we have y equals mx plus b, and we know it's in this form when y is by itself. So y is by itself. All right, so our slope is whatever is multiplying to x, so it's 1 over 4. And our b, our starting point, is whatever's adding or subtracting to our x, so it's a positive 1. Okay, so remember slope is rise over run. And then b is our starting point. So this means we have a point at 1 on the y-axis. So I'm going to go to the y-axis and I'm going to plot a point at 1. Well, then I'm going to use my slope to determine where I go. So I rise 1, go to the right 4. Rise 1, go to the right 4. Okay, if I wanted to create more points on the opposite side of my starting point, I would go back to my starting point, go down 1 to the left 4. Down 1 to the left 4. All right, this next one, we have y equals 2x. So again, it's y equals mx plus b. Two is multiplying to x, so that means 2 is our slope. Well, guys, we want our slope to be in a fraction most of the, like, we love that because it tells us exactly what we rise over run. When we have a whole number like 2, it's just whatever that number is over 1, okay? Like if it was 5, it'd be 5 over 1. Our rise over run would be 5 over 1, okay? So I don't want you to get confused when you see a whole number and not know what to do, okay? Well, what you do is you rise that number, but you'll always run only 1 unit, okay? I hope that makes sense. But whenever it's a whole number like 2, it's just that 2 over 1. All right, there is no b here. When we have no b, our y-intercept is 0. Starts at the origin. Okay, so I'll plot a point at the origin, and then I'll use my slope to determine where I go. So because it's 2, which is the same as 2 over 1, I'm going to rise 2 and go to the right 1. Rise 2 and go to the right 1. Rise 2, right 1. Rise 2, right 1. Rise 2, right 1. Okay, and always double check the direction of your line, making sure that that it's going in the right direction. So remember, positive slopes always are going up as it's going to the right, and then negative slopes always go down as it's going to the right. So always double check your slope, make sure if it's positive, that's going up. And if it's negative, it's going down. So like on your one that you're gonna do by yourself, it's a negative slope. So make sure when you're creating this negative slope that it's going down to the right. Okay, so it should be going the opposite directions of the 2 lines that we graphed earlier. All right, bye guys.